Hi, welcome to Rate My Gadget, and I will show you how to properly empty, clean out and pack away your Lazy Spa hot tub. Empty this, have a look in the hot tub. I've emptied this. And what you need to do first of all, unplug the motor. So take the plug completely out. And the reason you're doing that, don't disconnect anything at all, but what you're trying to do is make sure that you unplug it so that when you drain it away, there's no risk of this turning on accidentally. Okay, next thing you do, this is the drain plug here. What you do is you pull that open there. Now you can connect a garden hose to the end of it because obviously a lot of water will come out. Check that there's no debris or anything in there by just wiping your finger, and then what you do is, obviously this will be filled with water, is you open up this tap here. So this plug will be there. Pull that open, and what will happen is it will naturally want to bring itself back in. Just put that down, and if you can put something not heavy and not too sharp, but something that's just got a little bit of weight on it. Hold it open, let all the water drain out of it. Okay, and what you do is once you've drained it to a point, then you'll find that there'll be a little bit of water in the bottom. Turn the hot tub, be careful when you're dragging it on any sharp ground, and just lift it so that all the water pools down to that corner. Okay, once you've done that, then come around here. This is obviously off. Okay, so you've drained it down as much as possible, you've got as much water out of it as possible. Then you undo these. Okay, it doesn't really matter what order you do it, but you're twisting these so they're anti-clockwise. So twist that one anti-clockwise, twist that one anti-clockwise, twist that one anti-clockwise, like so. And what you'll do, just make sure they're all completely loose, and then you pull the motor away. Okay, and what you do then is you move the motor so that it's face down like that, so you're trying to get as much water out of it as possible. And then take this motor, once you've left it for a little while, bring it inside and let it stay inside in a warm environment for a while so it all dries out inside the motor. Okay, now hot tub wise, right, the other thing as well, once you've undone the pump, is down here on the bottom. I've removed it. You'll find the filter. You need to just turn that anti-clockwise, make sure that's removed out as well. Okay, now you're at a place where around here you will find that there'll be little bits of wetness around on the edge. So the best thing to do is lift, and you may need two people to do this, lift the hot tub up. Film me, you've got to be filming. Lift the hot tub up, and what you'll find is a lot of the water will pool down. Okay, turn the hot tub so that the tap is not on the floor, because what happens is if it's on the floor, this little spike here, it gets pulled up. Okay, so put it, and obviously you probably have to do this outside. So what you'll find is this little pocket here, you want to have it so that the hot tub is over you a little bit like this. That air pocket in there, trying to squeeze as much water out as possible. And what will happen is you'll find that some of the water will squeeze out. You can see there's still a lot in there from me as well. Okay, so out of here, and you're trying to just get it so that the water's pouring out of that bit at the bottom. Okay, because what happens is all the water gets contained in this. See my hand? Look at my hand. All the water gets contained in this rail that goes around where all the bubbles come out. So what you want to try and do is you want to try and squeeze as much of that down as possible as you possibly can, and then once you're squeezing that down, you'll find some of the water drains out. Okay, keep filming on this. So see these bits here, and try and wipe them as much as you can out once the hot tub is dry enough, right? Then what you do, obviously hopefully on a dry summer's day, you put this upside down and try and leave it to dry out as much as possible. Okay, get yourself a towel, get the towel inside this lip to dry all this out, and then once you think it's dry, put it upside down on its back end. You've got your hot tub upside down, hopefully on a nice warm sunny day. And now what you want to deal with is the lid. Okay, so the lid, like I said, hang it up on the washing line along with the cloth separate. Deflate this ever so slightly so you can hang it on the line. Now when you take it off, just get a tea towel again and just try and dry it on a dry grassy area. Then what you're doing is you're folding it over on itself, okay, to try and get as much air. So squeeze this and try and, you can do this on your own, okay. So once you're happy that it's really dry, try and get all the air out of it, okay. So once you've got all the air out of it, what you want to do is, I prefer to put it in a plastic bag. But if you look at my face, you don't want to be putting it in a plastic bag, because if there is any moisture in it, it will retain in it. What you do, be very, very careful, but just get a plastic bag and just pierce some holes in it, so that when you put it in your house, which you probably will in your loft or something, if it gets hot, any moisture that stays in doesn't keep it wet, hopefully will give it a bit of a chance. But you want to try and get this as dry as possible, okay. So let's stop recording and we'll come back and show you. As you're draining it, you will get little spittles of water that come out. That's fine. Once you've finished draining it, do dry this nozzle as well as much as you possibly can, because there will be kind of wet bits that come out of it, okay. So now what you've done is you want to keep the nozzle at bottom level as much as possible, and you're trying to squeeze all the air out of it, okay. So try and work to a point in which, as you're squeezing it, you're squeezing it out, and try and use your body weight to crunch over, because what you want to do is you want to try and get it all in this plastic bag, and it makes it much, much easier to store later, okay. So if I just show you, so there you go. So see all that water coming out the bottom there? Okay, you want to try and get as much of that out as possible. So the last bit of air in there, that will be the water in the bottom, so you want to try and get as much of that out. And also the other reason as well, putting it in a plastic bag helps, is when you put it all in one box with the Lazy Spa, although you'll try and get as much of this water out as possible, there will still be some left in it, okay. So when you're squeezing this, you might not get any, you might, because it's such a warm environment, but there will naturally, or I have found, you get water in here. You know, not a huge amount, but you do get some. Once you're happy that you think that you've got as much out as possible, okay, look how much is coming out there, alright, so use all your body weight. Just be careful, don't want to get a scissors near her. There you go, okay. Once you're happy that you think you've got as much of that water out as possible, yeah, there you go. And you want to do one final check. You want to roll it out again, so open it up, okay, like this. Keep the nozzle if you can at the bottom, alright, and then you're just checking how dry the material is. If it's fairly dry, then you're alright, but just give it a bit of another quick wipe down once you've opened it up. Fold it so the nozzle is always on the outside, okay, and what I like to do is fold it in half like that. Fold it in half again so the nozzle's there, and then what you're doing is you're basically rolling it then. You're rolling it from that corner, okay, there. So now, you know, it's fairly dry. So the reason you roll it out again is because you try and get as much of that air out as possible. Give yourself as much chance as getting it in the bag, okay? Right. You can, if you want to, put this now indoors, get it dry overnight. However, for me, I will now put it in the plastic bag with the holes in it. If I put it there, so you're doing that, and then once you've done that, you're squeezing it into the bag and tying the bag up. And that is for storage later on, okay. So now you've got as much of that out as possible. That's one part of it done. That's the lid. Okay, next bit is the lid cover. So the lid cover, if you've hung it up on the washing line and it's quite dry, then you want to fold it. Again, you want to get another plastic bag. Don't worry about punching holes in this, because you'll probably find it will be really dry, this one, unlike the inflatable inner bit. So just make sure, put your hand on the inside, make sure this is bone dry here, okay. If you want to use a tea towel, you can even, you know, wash it if you want with hand wash it, and then hang it up to dry. Once you've hung it up to dry and you're happy it's bone dry, then just fold it. So all you're doing is folding it over on itself. Okay, so it's half. Yeah, and you can easily do this one person, and then you're folding it over again. So now it's like that. Okay, as you can see, mine's a bit dirty, but I'm not really too bothered about that. Then what I do, fold that corner in like that, and then you are literally just folding it over on itself, folding it over on itself. Okay, that's there, and then you just roll it up and put it in the bag. So you literally just go roll up like that, put it in plastic bag, tie it up tight. Okay, that's it. So now you've got two parts. You've got the inflatable bit that you've drained all the water out of with the nozzle out if you can, and then the black cover as well. Now, got to think about the beastie. So let's just remind ourselves, you've put this upside down, you've done the 45 degrees to try and drain out the edge bits, you've got a towel to try and dry it out, and now you're ready to start trying to deflate it. And potentially, if you've got the space, you could bring this inside to your house and have it sitting up. That would be ideal, because then it would be warm in the house and you could leave it, you know, overnight or a couple of days. Or if, like me, you haven't got that luxury, then you'll have to deflate it and possibly hang it up on the washing line as much as possible, try and dry it out even further. So first things first, put the plug in, okay? And then if you can't bring it in to the house in one big unit, then you want to deflate it. In order to do that, this on the side here, like that, do it slowly, and then eventually, there you go, hear the air coming out of it. Okay, right, try and clean that around because that will be wet as well. There you go, that little bit, keep that to the side because you'll definitely be needing that when you put this back on. Keep that safe. Now, it's basically deflating it. Now, try and do this on grass. Don't do it on stone or hard concrete. Reason being is because the more you push on it, you don't want any sharp stone going into it. If you have to do it on sharp stone, then you can get the rubber mats down there. Link is in the comments for it to sit on. Ideally try and do it on grass, and this is where what you're doing is you're just pushing the side ever so gently in, so you're getting the air out of it as much as possible. Okay, so you kind of, oops, you're starting to collapse it in on itself, all right, to try and get as much air out of it as possible. Now the reason, like I said, that you wanted to dry out as much of this is because you're bringing it in on itself. Any of that water is going to get retained in there, so you want to really dry that out well. Okay, so you know, try and do whatever you can, whether it's, you know, even get a hairdryer and it's not too hot, dry it out, bring it in the house, towel it down, whatever you need to do to get this inner bit as dry as possible. Make sure all of these nozzle bits are taken off, so spin those off now. Okay, take these two bits out, keep them safe. Put them back in the bag if you want, that you had earlier on. That's what I'll probably do. And then, oh, that one doesn't come off. That's fine. And then just start folding it in on itself, ever so slowly. You've collapsed it in on itself. Okay. Annoyingly, you can't take this pipe off here, or not, at least on this version. But what I would highly recommend now, and what I'm going to do, is before I wrap this up and roll it and put it in the back in its box, which you can do, again, reiterate, you want to get this as dry as possible. So I'm going to bring this into the house, into a warm area, and leave it, if I can, overnight, so that at least any moisture that's left in it will dry out. What I'll do is I'll show you what I do. I mean, you can keep rolling this and put it back in its box, but I'll show you what I do. Okay, so this may seem strange, but I've bought the lazy spar in, I've got the motor here, I've got my two bags that I tied up outside. The best thing, this is what I would propose, is everything that you're putting in to the box, try and keep it dry. But this is the main thing that you want to be dry, because if you can, if this gets mouldy, then you know you're done for. So first things first, here's the box. So what you should have with you, so a few things you want to just check, is in the box itself that I've got, you have a bottom. So I would put the motor in, or the pump in first. Okay, so make sure and have a towel ready. So I would put this in, because you know that this is dry, you've left it, you've drained it out. Put that in there, like that. You might find that some rubber little gaiters, like this, put them down the side. Also put again, make sure it's dry. You know, check you've still got the filter, because that goes at the top once you put the lid on. But then if you can, only if you can, okay, this is the bag for the lid. See if you can put that down the side there. If you can't, then you can leave it separate. But if you can get one of the bags down, that's even better, because it makes use of space. Put this on the top here, okay? And then all the little bits and pieces that you pulled off, these little bits and pieces, keep that one for the time being, the inflatable one, and put everything else just in the top, like that, okay? Now, in this instance, I can't get the bag with the black bit in, but hopefully I can put that in with the, make sure again that this is dry, the filter, loosely tighten it up, don't put the filter in it obviously, put that down there, okay, and that's it. So here we go, so you've packed everything, the pump back in the bag, and then you're just trying to leave it as long as you can. What I also do is not on a very hot setting, but just on a medium setting, get a hairdryer and just start drying that next day inside and underneath. So if you kind of put it in here and within the area so it's nice and dry. Okay, so I've left this overnight. It's very dry, and now is the challenge of putting it into that box. So I've taken the box out of there, try and put it in there. Now, two things need to make sure that one, this nozzle here, that's off, so you can let all the excess air out of it. Two, that you're folding as much as you can, so that you're leaving that hose, the drainage hose at the end there, leaving that at the outside. So the thing I do, and to be honest, even before I start, this isn't going to be perfect, is now that you've dried everything out as much as you can, toweled it, done whatever you need to do, leave it for a couple of days in a warm environment. Now I roll it over one, and you can hear as I squeeze that, you can hear that the air's coming out of that. Okay, now if you leave it like that, okay, so what you want to try and do, and this is going to sound weird, if I pull it this way so you can see, try and have it so that the air hole that comes out here, there, is down in the corner. Okay, down this way. So what that allows you to do is the drainage plug is in the middle, so you're kind of folding around there, and the air hole is on the outside. So once you've got as much air out of this as possible, and you've folded it in half, then fold it in a quarter, like that. And you can hear that air coming out of it. Let me pull it back. There you go. Okay. So that's as much air as you're going to get out of it on that fold. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Right. Now then, what you can do is then try and fold it again. Alright, so if I fold that over that, like there, again, all of that, okay. Now, like I said, okay, so Now, it's always nice doing this. Now you're trying to get it in the box. Now, if you can, and this is the bit which is usually hard, you want to try and fold that, if you can, over there, like that, okay, like that, right? So now, you've got it in this kind of configuration, and then, you can put some straps around it if you've got some, or something like that. But now, I'm going to try and get the box, if you can, and I find it easy to put it on its side, like this, okay? And then what you're trying to do is basically I'm going to slide that into the box as much as possible. And already I can see this isn't going to go particularly easily into that box. So what I'll do, bring that out, move that a little bit further over, like that. There you go. Go. And then this is where. There you go. Okay. Right. Now, once you've got it in the box like that, okay, it's not going to be pretty, but you're trying to squeeze it, put it up, so stand it on its end if you need, push it down. This is where my filming goes to pop. There you go. Right, so let me show you that. See how I've got that end out, that end in. The box is bulging a bit, but as you put it in, you're trying to squeeze as much as you can down. Okay. Squeeze it down as much as you can into the box. Right? Now what I do, get the box, get the top of it, and this bit here, put it down. Ah! Oh, this isn't working very well, is it? So now, when you get the other box out, then you put this in the other box, like so. Hold on. Here we go. So now you've got that in. So the box is probably, and this is the key bit. I'll show you. So see how the box is next to the pump like that. Okay. Now I find personally the bag where you had the lid, you won't be able to get that in very easily. If you do, then you're doing a better job than me. Okay. So now what you're doing, if I bring the box around, that top bit, folding that down, folding that across as much as possible, and keep pushing it down like that. Okay. Do the same with that lid, same with that lid. Now you've got that inside the box. Okay. And what I would do is I would, for the top, like I've done previously, is you duct tape that across, or sellotape it across. Okay, links to tape at the bottom. Okay, and once you've done with that last bit, let me just show you. So what you've got is, I put the black lid in there because that's the one that's usually much drier, so you want to keep that away from the actual hot tub itself. hot tub, once that's gone in, and you, like I said before, put that over. Duct tape, try not to get duct tape on the material itself. So maybe put a bit of paper underneath here or something if you want to protect it. Then what you've got is the pump itself, okay, to the right of it. If I pick up the bag with the nozzle on the back, what I do is put the nozzle down there, okay, that's where I put the bag. Take the lid here, and what you'll find is, oh, a little bit of brute force. The main thing is with all of this is make sure it's dry, that all of this is really dry through. The motor, the lead on the end of the motor, anything that you're putting into the box here, anything here, because once you seal this up, you don't want any humidity getting in and you want to be ruining the cloth. So, you know, dry, make sure it's absolutely dry all the way through if you can. So lovely sunny days like this, leave it out in the garden. Make sure that you're using towels to dry it down, and even if you want to bring it in like I do overnight, you could use a hairdryer to dry it out. There you go, final proof that it all did go back into that box. Okay.